Sure. Hey, Chief. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. If you would, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Great to see everybody out tonight. It's a nice crowd we got here. We appreciate you coming. First thing I'm going to do here before we really get into the meat of things here, I've got something I'd like to read. It's a proclamation. It's 56th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, in case you didn't know. It runs from May 4th to May 10th, 2025. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies and agencies of governments at all other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Frank Crenshaw, Mayor of the town of Pendleton, do recognize the week of May 4th through 10th, 2025 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Amber Barnes, for the vital services that she performs and their exemplary dedication to the town of Pendleton here on her, you believe it, the 50th birthday of this Lord. As you notice how she's dressed.
Celebrated it.
All right, here.
That's right.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amber. We appreciate what you do for us.
Y'all kids, how about moving some of it this side from this table? Kind of clear the middle out.
Okay.
Clear the aisle, kind of split the aisle, leave the aisle
Yeah,
clear.
they're gonna walk down the middle, guys, to talk,
Mhm.
so just try to get off the carpet a little bit so people can walk. You can come over here if you need
One of y'all can be really lucky and sit up here in the big
to.
chair
The
like
big
that.
chair.
Yeah, that's right. So next, have a few updates. I know there's been a lot of things, a lot of interest in the rec program here lately. And we have someone here from the city of Clemson. It's Andy Blondell, who is the administrator of the city of Clemson. And I believe he has a statement he would like to make. Andy, if you would like to come up, podium there, you can make a statement about the city of Clemson's viewpoint on some of this information to the fly.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Andy Blondeau. I serve as the Clemson City Administrator, and on behalf of the Clemson City Council, I want to express our sincere appreciation for this opportunity to clarify our recent discussion regarding recreation. Our intent is simply to explore potential opportunities for collaboration that could benefit both of our communities. We are committed to enhancing the recreational experience of our residents while fully respecting the autonomy of your existing program. Please be assured that Clemson has no interest whatsoever in taking over the recreation program. Our collective goal is to identify ways we might work together to optimize resources and improve services for everyone. The spirit of collaboration extends beyond recreation. we believe it's in our mutual best interest to have similar discussions in other areas, particularly how we manage regional growth. As a result of our council's discussion, the Recreation Advisory Board was initially asked to begin this exploration. However, that has been tabled, and we will only move forward at Pendleton's request. Should you desire, we eagerly anticipate the possibility of further discussion in exploring a mutually beneficial partnership.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate that.
Y'all have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, a couple other things here, just like to mention. We have April asked the mayor, and that's where you can join myself and Councilman Vince Gollin over here on May the 20th, 25 from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Pendleton Community Center for an open discussion about all things Pendleton, whatever you want to talk about. So we'll be there. Love to have you come out and join us. Also coming up, we have the State of Pendleton. Hope you'll save the date for Clemson Area Chamber's annual State of Pendleton on May the 13th, 2025, which is next week at 5:30 at the Tri-County Technical College. And this also encompasses the Taste of Pendleton. There'll be a lot of good food there. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a great time, and you'll get some information. So hope you come visit us with that as well. I also like to say a huge thank you to everyone who participated in our spring townwide cleanup. We had 29 residents and we had 45 Arthrex employees picking up a total of 140 bags of trash. It was a great day for us. Please remember, we appreciate it if you just don't litter. Someone must pick it up. So that was a good day. It was very successful. And I'd like to thank everybody who participated and everybody who got it together for us. Also like to thank Lake Hartwell Country and Jordan Bannister for another successful Spring Jubilee. I always enjoy taking part in the opening processional and seeing many people out enjoying Pendleton. It was a great time. I also like to thank Pastor Joe Moss for coordinating another Unity in the Community event and the Pendleton Recreation Association for hosting a successful first ever 5K race. Congratulations on that. The Mayor's Beautification Committee met this month also, and their latest project is an art installation honoring African-American folk artist Richard Burnside, a friend of mine, and who's passed on, but we want to honor him for his artwork. He actually has artworks in the Smithsonian Institution, and he was an amazing person. Prints from the installation are currently on display here in Town Hall if you'd like to check it out. We will also host the upcoming Groovin' on the Green concert on the Village Green each Wednesday in June, beginning at 6 p.m. So that should be some fun for everybody to take part in. Also attending a meeting at Pendleton Community, at the Pendleton Community, as discussions were had with a potential donor to assist with the Keys Barn project, and we're hoping that's going to come to fruition, and we get that done sooner rather than later. So that's all I have for updates. Next thing we have on the agenda is going to be approval of minutes. Hopefully council's had a chance to review the minutes. And having said that, are there any changes that need to be made? Or do I have a motion to approve them as presented?
Motion approved as presented.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Next, we have public comments. There's a 3-minute time limit per person. You must be, according to council rules, you must be a resident. You must live within the city limits of Pendleton. You must be a business owner, or you can be a business owner, or you can be a town property owner in order to speak in public comments. Having said that, is there anyone here that would like to speak? And I see Matt looking at me, so come on up, neighbor. And if you don't mind, state your name and address just for the record. We know who you are.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Carter. I live at 903 Crenshaw Street here in
Matthew who?
Pendleton. Matthew Carter. I live at 903 Crenshaw Street here in Pendleton. I serve as the Vice President for the Pendleton Recreation Association. Over the past few weeks, many of us have seen the video from Clemson's Town Council discussing the idea of merging our recreation departments, that conversation notwithstanding. And while we've been told these are just talks, I think everyone here knows that where there's conversation, there's intent. The fact is the conversation never happened tells us this isn't a passing idea. And that's why we're here tonight to speak up, not just for an organization, but for a community. The PRA isn't just a set of sports leagues. We are parents, volunteers, and neighbors who have built something rooted in Pendleton for Pendleton. Last year alone, we supported over 600 kids with 25 teams, and we've done it without a single paid staff member. There is no office, no phone number to call during business hours, and yet our programs thrive. Why? Because they're personal, because our kids grow up playing with classmates they'll graduate with, because they play with people they know and grow up in the same community they represent. The comparison is constantly made between Clemson and Pendleton Recreation, how their facilities, programs, and instruction is superior to ours. Let's talk about that. The town of Clemson supports their recreation department with over $2.7 million in public funds. That's not earned through signups, that's taxpayer support straight from the general fund, which totals over $24 million a year. Those dollars pay for full-time staff, field equipment, new playgrounds, restrooms, and even electric paint robots to paint the fields. The PRA, we receive zero tax support. Every single cost from uniforms to field paint to referees is covered by registration fees and donations. And we do all of that in a community where the 3 elementary schools that feed our older schools are Title I. That means many of our families face real financial challenges. The only way we could afford to staff or expand our operations would be to raise prices, and that's a cost our families simply cannot bear. We've already stretched ourselves thin. This year alone, we've awarded nearly $4,000 in financial aid, reducing registration by as much as 90%. That's almost 10% of our total revenue, and we still make it work. So no, this is not just a conversation about efficiency or collaboration. This is a choice about values. Do we want to preserve and invest in a community-led, deeply rooted program that has rebuilt trust, grown numbers, and fostered pride? Or do we want to hand over piece by piece to a system that may not reflect our schools, understand our needs, or carry forward our identity? And that's what hit many of us the hardest. In Clemson's own word, like I said, that conversation notwithstanding, Pendleton kids will be integrated like any other. That might not sound like much to them, but to us, that means everything. Because this isn't just about programs or scheduling, it's about identity. Our kids wear black and gold for a reason. They represent Pendleton. They play with classmates, with cousins, with neighbors. They grow up Bulldogs. And that's not something we're willing to trade for a little more efficiency or a different colored jersey. And in the same conversation, a Clemson Town Council member said, I don't think they, Pendleton, know what they want. Their council is kind of looking for us to provide some information. That should raise every eyebrow in this room. Because when another town believes they know better what our community needs and frames that conversation around what works for them, that's not collaboration, that's quiet erosion. We do know what we want, and it's to preserve the culture, identity, and pride that the PRA has fought and to rebuild and expand with no staff, no public budget, and no loss of heart. The reason often given is that a large portion of the kids we serve live outside the town limits. And it's true, town tax dollars should benefit town residents, but that's only part of the story. These kids go to the same schools, play on the same teams, and grow up in the same community. Drawing hard lines around funding based on geographic might make sense on paper, but it makes a lot less sense when you're looking at a dugout for a gym. This is my final sentence. We don't see the town as an enemy here, far from it. We're grateful for the partnership we have, but we also believe more is possible because this isn't us against you, it's us with you. But that only works if we're all honest about what's needed and what's at stake. Let's protect what we built together, let's grow it here, and let's keep Pendleton Pendleton. Thank you.
Don't forget to state your name and address.
Jared Allen, Jarodallen, 19 Carkennan Court, Pendleton, South Carolina. Thank you. So I appreciate the attempt to bring Mr. Councilman in from Clemson weak in my mind, just to appease us, but that's okay. I would like to remind you that Pendleton is in Anderson County. There are resources and help in Anderson County, which are constantly denied. I know that for a fact because I used to be on the board of the PRA a few years ago. And every time I went to the county for help, it was, my hand was slapped or it was denied. So whatever political rift you have with the county that you reside in, get over it. Also, we are not Clemson. We never, ever will be. We are Pendleton. This is the future of the town and the surrounding area. Yes, taxes may raise, but we have already raised taxes for a brand new school. And I believe, Mr. Miller, you said one time that the way a school goes, the town goes. So if all of the kids go somewhere else, then this brand new school that we have with the high school league, new rules for transfers and everything, people are going to go out. And if you don't grow them up from the beginning to the end, you will have no school, a brand new school that will not be in use. You have all these people moving in, and then nothing will be, it'll all be for naught. So I encourage you to get your resources from the county that you reside in.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Pam Speck. I live at
Just what?
Speck, S-P-E-C-H-T.
What was your first name?
Pam. I live at 503 East Main Street in Pendleton, and I have been a resident of Pendleton for 35 years. First and foremost, thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope I hope you just don't hear my words, but truly listen to them. The PRA is very important to the community. Pendleton is a family that has grown together beyond decades. Pendleton has stood with each other and supported as one. To take that away from us is not in any way advancing, encouraging, or supporting the children in our community that is also Anderson District 4. The growth that has already been accounted for has been outstanding. To have at least 300 children participate in just one season, not just the 30 children in town limits, is amazing. While these families may not contribute to city taxes, they contribute in more ways that is imaginable, supporting local business, supporting the town, and focusing on the community as a whole. These are families within our school district, the current and future of Pendleton. They are not a paycheck. They are building lasting relationships, and most importantly, the future. Clemson and Central Rec Department are even in favor on our behalf. They have seen, acknowledged, and truly respect our growth. They even believe that our community of Pendleton should remain as is. Everyone believes that the best interest for our children, current children, and many, many future children that will come must have and stand for Pendleton recreation. With that being said, I don't want to speak completely on the political details. I want to read a few quotes. A 4-year-old boy said, "Best day ever. I love my coach and team. I scored 3 touchdowns and we always get snacks." 23-year-old boy said, "Playing Little League football for Pendleton was the best experience of my life. Under the guidance of a specific coach, I not only learned the fundamental of the game, but also developed important life skills like discipline, teamwork, and perseverance. Our coach was more than a coach. He was a mentor who pushed us, but at the same time, always be there for us and still is. Thank you, Coach Brown." 39-year-old said, "Best memories were on the same softball field that still exists at Veterans Park. The best friends were made and still exist. Pendleton Rec wasn't just a part of the past, as we are still affiliated with coaching and volunteering. We would not want to be anywhere else." A 9-year-old said, "I am only going to wear black and gold." A 26-year-old said, "Pendleton Recreation was so positive in my life. I always had a supportive environment that gave me confidence and kept me focused. It helped shape my character and laid the foundation for who I am today. I am thankful for that, and now I can still be part of what built me by helping coach our youth." Again, thank you for taking the time to listen. In closing, I do want to thank all of the dedicated volunteers who continue to work to be sure the recreation department thrives in every way possible. I would also like to say thank you to our community members that support all of our children and the recreation department. And thank you to all the local business owners who have consistently supported us. Lastly, we as a community would like to know what you would gain from this change that would have such a negative impact on all the children that participate at the Pendleton Rec.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Okay. Yes, sir. Come on up.
How you doing?
All right. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Kennedy Eubanks, I'm the new varsity boys assistant basketball coach here at Pendleton. I live at 107 Hillendale Road in Pendleton, South Carolina. Again, good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow citizens of Pendleton. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I stand before you not just as a resident, but as someone who deeply cares about the heart of this town, our youth, our families, and our future. Pendleton has always been a community rooted in tradition, pride, and unity. One of the clearest reflections of that spirit has been our youth athletics programs. Whether it's football, basketball, or t-ball, Our recreation department has given our children a safe, structured, and positive environment to grow, myself included. Not just as athletes, but as teammates, leaders, and community members. The field, the court, and the gym have become more than just places to play. They are classrooms of character. They're places where life lessons are taught by coaches like myself and learned by kids. They build friendships, they foster responsibility, and they give our young people a sense of belonging that's vital in today's world. Sports, vital in today's world. That's why I, along with many others, feel so strongly that Pendleton's youth athletics must stay within the town limits. Removing or relocating our recreation department outside of Pendleton would be a disservice to our children and to generations to come. It would mean families having to drive farther, losing that close-knit atmosphere we've all come to cherish, and potentially seeing a drop in participation from those who simply can't make the extra trip. It's not just about geography, it's about identity. I think somebody else was saying identity. It's about keeping the heartbeat of the community where it belongs. Again, let's not forget our recreation department isn't just a building or a set of programs. It's a symbol of who we are as a town. And keeping it here within our borders sends a powerful message that Pendleton invests in its youth, that we protect what's ours, and that we're committed to building strong citizens from the ground up, like myself. So tonight, or this evening, I urge you as representatives of this town to listen to the voices of the families, the coaches, the volunteers, and most importantly, these kids. Let's not take a step backward, because I think that's what we're doing by taking a step backward. Let's move forward together by standing firm in our commitment to keeping Pendleton youth athletics and our recreation department right here, where they've always belonged, in the heart of Pendleton. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Zachary Garrison. I'm the owner of Pendleton Tire Company right down the road here. I was born, raised in Sandy Springs, so I didn't live in the town limits. But I went through Pendleton Rec and I went through Pendleton High School. My 5-year-old is doing the same thing. I now own a business in the town of Pendleton. This place is home. This is what I love. This is where I want to be. I think that's what all these kids right here want. And I'm just going to say a quick story. I didn't write a speech, so I'm going to shoot from the hip and just say a quick story. I started playing soccer for the Pendleton Rec when I was 6 years old. Our team grew together. Our coach stayed with us. At that point in time, Pendleton High School did not have a soccer team. By the time we were in middle school, Pendleton High School had a soccer team. We were able to play JV because we did not have a C team, so we started playing JV in the 7th grade. 7th grade kids, we were going up against 9th and 10th graders. But because we had started like these kids and we had played together since we were 6 years old, we would get off the bus and they would look at us and they would laugh at us. Then we would beat them. We'd get back on the bus. So we grew up together, we played together, and that's what I want to see all these kids do. I feel like this school is going to be a state championship school soon in a lot of different sports. And I want to see these kids stay together, play together. That's what I want from my son. That's why I put him in Pendleton Rec, because he was born a Bulldog and he's going to be a Bulldog. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm going to talk loud. I don't want you to think I'm yelling, but nobody can hear back there. So my name's Lindsay McPhail. My husband and I own Outsider Coffee just down the road. So we moved here 4 years ago, not knowing a soul. And originally we had thought we were going to put our coffee business in Greenville because we're from Oregon. We didn't know the area and that's where all the traffic is. So for us, that just made sense. As we got here, we found several sites in Greenville, but I fell in love with Pendleton. Our son, Charlie, is here tonight. He's in PRA football and baseball. And I don't know if any of you guys have relocated, but when you relocate 3,000 miles away and you have no family, no friends, your friends become your family. And the PRA family here is just that. We do life together, and it's important because that's a huge reason why we put our business here. Not that we're some big factory or whatever, but we love Pendleton so much, and we love the community so much. And we believe in, like, we see things that are trying to happen to enrich the community and build it up. And we want to be a part of that. And to me, there is no better way to enrich and build up a community than to invest in the kids. And so I don't have anything prepared, but I just wanted to say, we support PRA financially. We love them. We will be a part of it as long as we can. And if you want to grow, if you want to enrich and like deepen your roots, there's got to be another way. And as a business owner, I'm saying this knowing there's probably so much that none of us know. There's probably so much in terms of logistics and numbers that you guys are just trying to make something work. And I appreciate that. But also as a business owner, I know that there's always another way. And you have a room full of people back here and in here who are willing to and have volunteered and work hard to make a better solution. So that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much.
Is there anyone else out there would like to make a comment? Okay. All right, hearing none, we're going to close the public comment section. We're going to move on to some reports, first of which will be the police department report. And we have our police chief, Robbie Crosby, to present that to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. It's always tough to follow. I hate going first. I feel like my daddy, though, when he's teaching Sunday school and all the youngins are up in front. So, you know.
Tell some good stories.
Oh, my daddy can tell me better stories, but you probably don't want me to do it. So this past month, we had a total of 638 calls for service. What I did change up is the amount of calls that we're taking as Pendleton officers as opposed to the county. So out of the 638 calls, 510 were taken by officers here. The remainder were taken by Anderson County. 10 reports were taken, 5 were cleared by arrest and or citation. 120 warning tickets were written, 36 citations. The quick nitty gritty. Animal control calls were elevated this month. We had a total of 12. We did issue 2 warning tickets regarding barking or excessive noise from dogs, and we continue to monitor some hot spots from some residents that complain about that. The Pendleton Fire Department responded to 21 calls for service inside their service district this past month. Yesterday, I was notified as well, and this isn't on your report, I was notified as well of the upcoming annual, or I guess it's the tri-annual audit from the Academy. Again, the state of South Carolina has changed the policies and stuff on us without notification to us. They didn't even send out a letter saying May of last year that they were updating mandatory policies. I just got a random phone call yesterday saying, oh, by the way, it's your turn for audit, and without any preparation or anything like that. What does that mean? It means just like it was 3 years ago, I will have to revise the policy manual to make it in compliance with what state standards say, even though the policy that you guys have already approved has been a well-written and well-worded policy that covers all of our stuff. But that is, again, something that I have to debate, and I will have to bring, again, a updated policy to y'all for y'all's review and approval. And hopefully I'll have that in September to you all. Other than that, that just, you know, the thing about the policy, it just creates a little bit more headache for us and requires to be a lot more conscious on our training. That was one of the biggest indicators, was in-service training and mandatory requirements, mandatory reporting, which we will have to look at having something better than a manila folder and a piece of paper to put that training in when the state comes and does their audits, until we can get South Carolina law enforcement accreditation, which will have to come due to we can't get right now due to our evidence and procedures and stuff. So anyway, not to talk long, I'll take any questions and turn it over.
I have just a clarification
Yes, ma'am.
question. What constitutes a call for service?
Anytime someone makes a call to 911 or if an officer generates a self-initiated call. So. That
So
it.
if I guess if I call 911 and then the officer gets there and needs an additional, is that 2 calls or is that?
That's just one.
Okay.
You gonna do 2 things, man.
I got a really bad person
What
coming at
time
me.
of day do you get the most calls?
What time of day?
Yeah.
It varies. Yesterday, I will be honest, was a little slow until we assisted the county with that homicide yesterday. Other than that, today was off and on busy all day. We were busy this morning with an accident that caused some of the power outages here in town. And then it got busy right at council time. I would say there's not really a trend that I've been able to lock down or see. It can vary. I will tell you that our average calls for service in a 24-hour period is 13. That's the average.
Okay. That's all the question I have. All right, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
All right, next we have a report from our planning department. We have our planner, Dave Polson.
Mr. Mayor, council, good evening. Good to see everybody here tonight. The planning was a little busy in the month of April. We issued 34 permits. There was a breakdown, and we did 14 new homes. Again, they're finishing out the final phase of Champions Village. That included the new homes that Mongo Homes is building behind the Circle K, and then the remainder of the Pendleton townhomes that are being built. We also issued 2 new roof permits, 3 interior renovations, 7 electrical or mechanical permits, 3 new accessory units, 1 new sign, and 4 others, which detailed a demo, some grading permits, and a tree felling permit. Code enforcement answered 13 complaints. Code enforcement identified 5 businesses working inside of town limits without a license, resulting in $687.82 collected in license fees and $175.75 in permit fees. On April the 8th, 2025, planning staff met with the owners of Main Exchange. They're the ones that bought 102 Exchange Street. I think you guys have been aware that they are in the process of wanting to change the side entrance of their building, which is entailing them to change and turn the stairway that's there, which is kind of putting them in some ADA compliance issues. We met with them. They have submitted a plan of what they would like to do. We took that plan and submitted it to the GMC to get their reviews and their opinions on it, to draw it up. Once we get comments back from them, we'll get it out to you guys and then figure out which direction we want to go with that. So once we get that back, we'll get that out to you guys. On April the 10th, staff assisted with the Planning Commission with their regular monthly meeting. At this meeting, the commission considered a commercial group development that's located on Highway 76 in the Hillendale area. They considered this application and approved the site plan for that development. On April 16th, staff attended a sewer pre-construction meeting with the owners of the Sunrise Development. They're wanting to start the phase 2 portion of the sewer construction out there. This is just a mandatory meeting that we do to make sure that they're going along, following everything they're supposed to be doing to get them started on that. So they'll be laying the sewer pipe on that here in the near future. On April the 19th, planning staff had the opportunity and had a lot of fun helping with the 5K run that was held at Veterans Park. We enjoyed that, seeing everybody turn out and run. I didn't run an inch, so that was a good thing. So that was a good day. So if I'm running, you better run because something bad's happening. On April 24th and 25th, planning staff, me and Owen, attended the South Carolina chapter of American Planning Association's spring conference in Florence, South Carolina. It's always fun to be able to go out and see what other cities are doing and what other municipalities are accomplishing. They've got some really neat things that they're doing there. And I'll tell you that we've got a lot of neat things going on here because I saw a lot of things that bigger cities are doing that we're already doing. So it was fun to go out there and see that. On May the 15th, we have a design review board meeting. This is going to be for a design review for 204 East Queen Street and 401 Greenville Street. The last thing is I finally got the final packet together for the UDO steering committee. I'm waiting on one comment back from Rico, who is our representative from MRB. We're putting that packet together, and I promised I'm gonna have it out this week as long as I can get that comment back from Rico. Once we get that packet out to the committee, it's got the summary sheet of what I found different in the ordinance based on comments that were made. I hope the committee takes some time and reviews it. Then we'll plan on getting back together and going over it and then moving this to the next stage. The last thing we worked on during the month is you're going to be considering in a little while is a resolution for a change to a major change request and the process of what we're doing it from our ordinance. So that's all I have, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if anybody has them.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
14 homes, how does that compare to last year?
So it's been kind of weird this year. So January, we did a pretty good amount. February, we didn't do one. We didn't issue one permit for new homes. So our numbers are down, but they're starting to increase a little bit. So we were averaging 20 homes last year a month, and we're down, we're in that area, but we're still down a little bit. So it's really fluctuating. And a lot of that is the phase that's already been approved in Champions Village. So that's really what's driving the numbers right now.
Well, and those apartments.
And the apartments, yes, ma'am.
And my other question is, and I don't have the website, but I noticed that the council meetings are on the happenings or event calendar, but none of the planning commissions or architectural review or any of the other commissions are on that calendar. Is there a way we can get those dates on there?
So they should be on the calendar of event or
Yes.
calendar. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Gotcha.
All right, sorry.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Is that it? Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor. Thank you.
All right, next we have a report from our administrator's report. Steve Miller.
Last month's bill date was 4/17. Water, we billed 7.5 million gallons of water at $77,500. And sewer, we billed 7.8 million gallons. That's $95,996. And again, flat rate billing was $27,426. You can see the customer count's only up 12, which is going back to what David's saying about the slowdown in the building permit process. For April, we rented a depot building 3 times and Barracks Place shelter 6 times. April was also the month we collected the business license, which is $65,536. We collected $27,000 motor vehicle and $59,000 property tax. We did get some information from the state on our homestead exemption, which is anybody over the age of 65, exempting them from the first $50,000 in taxes. This year's 13.27%, or 463 qualified recipients. That's 108,361. That's up about $12,000 from last year. Transactions, and I'll preface this for everybody that's in here. We're rebuilding the wastewater treatment plant in the city of Clemson and Anderson County, so they have to pay us in order to keep that construction progress going. But we had 1,024 in-house transactions that totaled $1,621,000. It was probably 1.1 million of that or more, maybe 1.3 million is construction dollars. We had 1,239 online transactions, $176,000. 163 of those was from the open forums transactions. That was 72,626. Most of those were capacity fees being paid. General updates, and this affects everybody in this room. If you haven't been paying attention to the news of Lake Hartwell, which is where we draw our water from, there is an algae bloom. We are owners in Anderson Joint Regional. For people that may remember, about 2015, we had this. You had a lot of taste and odor in the water that was being produced, even though it met the water quality standards. We haven't had any taste and odor issues yet, although we just kind of want to start preparing people. We installed an ozone plant when it happened last time, instead of doing charcoal filter process. And they are monitoring it, but if you haven't been near Portland Shoals or anywhere that the blooms actually happen, you should probably go see it just to see. But it is hazardous to your dogs. Don't let your dog swim in it. Don't get in it yourself. But we are monitoring at the water plant. I gave council an article from the Anderson Observer. You might want to read it. It's about the county and some of their views on annexation currently. And you should also be aware of the county proposing a new capital 1 cent sales tax that came out yesterday. They are appointing 3 members to the board tonight. I do not know who they are, but according to their press release, this will only be used on county roads. And they're expecting it to generate about $36 million. And I'm not sure if that's a $36 million bond or $36 million in revenue, but they are definitely going to try to use it to bond road improvements on county roads and roads that they deem as of importance that are SCDOT. Village Green between May 16th and 30th will have the turf management done. It's going to be overseeding, top dressing, weed abatement, that kind of thing. They have been out there repairing the irrigation system. Capital projects, you have the last reading for Central Road tonight, SRF. We're waiting on their approval. The contractor was supposed to have signed the documents and forwarded back to our engineers. She is on vacation right now, so I do not know if she got that. And then once we have all that, we'll issue the notice to proceed. On the waste treatment plant, we're at about 25% complete. Overall, the project's on schedule. The headworks concrete's been completed. They're progressing through the small EQ basin, concrete in it. The IPS concrete walls are done. The BNR slab is done also. The filter slab is complete. The process equipment is starting to show up on site, and the digester concrete has been completed and leak tested. Just as a side note, we had to meet with DES in April because obviously we have half our plant tore apart doing an upgrade, and we are having problems passing our ammonia limit. And DES is considering placing us under consent order so we can finish the plant, with the plant completion being our work progress in order to complete the consent. That way we don't get hit with a lot of fines without being under consent orders. I know it sounds extreme, but that's what DES does. They place you under consent, and then there's other steps past that once you get past consent. The EPA STAG grant, I wanted y'all to see the application. This was the grant that Senator Graham got for. It was $5.3 million. This was the grant. We were supposed to buy the equipment for the plant, but the EPA did not approve at the last minute. We have been working with them. We're trying to get them to approve this work right here. They want us to go spend $400,000 and engineer it and then bring it back to them to see if they'll approve it at that point. And we do not understand why they want us to spend money engineering before they approve something, because that's a lot of money just to throw down the drain. So Senator Graham's chief of staff and his chief counsel have been working with us trying to get them to respond back to this work order. It has taken some time. It has taken a lot of meetings right now. Winston Street, Vince asked me about that earlier. It's down in Commerce. Commerce said it would be 45 days. We're right at the edge of that 45 days. Hopefully it comes back before next council meeting. We can bring it back to y'all for notice of award. And then we can get the contractor and give them a notice to proceed and start mobilizing. Westinghouse Extension, we have everything done except Duke Power hasn't moved the poles. So we've gone back and asked to open up Weaver Way. There's one guide wire in the curb line of Weaver Way. And if they would let us open that up, we can at least get the top half of it opened up and traffic moving on it. But I believe some of the other businesses have already pulled their permits or started pulling their permits up there, or at least contacted planning about it. Town Hall, Veterans Park, IPRB, we have a meeting with the architect June 10th. Once we get all these finalized, we can bring it back for approval so that we can prepare the bid documents and put them out to bid. TIF district, Calhoun Street, Queen Street's working towards 30% plan so we can have a public input session. On April 11th, we met with the two heirs of the property that need to be purchased in Village Hills. They seem to be agreeable. We asked if we could follow up with them in 30 days, and they said yes. And then again in 60, they're trying to get the rest of the heirs to the table for us. The Greenway design is progressing. Again, we may try to do the Greenway and Calhoun East Queen Street together for some public input. And we have the 60% designs on the water and sewer system that we've got to approve. And then once we approve those, we'll start moving toward 100% and get it out to bid. Town of Central's annexation, we have met with them. We have to go back and again meet with the city of Clemson and Anderson County, kind of talk about what we're going to do there and how we're going to move forward. Central wants to come in as a regional They're indicating they want to be involved in the regional utility system. And we don't know what that would entail yet. Clemson there's 91 acres they were requesting us to release for them to annex. Right now, they have that on hold and told me that the family is talking to a developer and it is back in our utility district as far as if we want to serve that or not. Riverside Middle School with all the other grants, we haven't heard back yet. And probably the biggest thing for council is Macasa Drive has a sinkhole in it at a culvert. We've been working with our engineers trying to figure out, can we hold this off to next year? We're gonna have to fix it now. It appears we're gonna have to fix it now. The first bid came in at $118,000. First quote, based on talking to the engineers, came in at $118,000. We have a fiber optic line in there. We have a gravity sewer line in there. We have a 6-inch water line in there, all over top of the culvert. And we have to go back in and build some head walls and everything else is what they're indicating right now, because the bank is washing out with the amount of water that's going through it and the pipe being disjointed. That's all I have right now.
It seems really significant to me to hear that they're going to enact this 1% tax and spend it on roads, and that's all good, but they don't spend any of it here in our municipality or any other municipality. So what's fair about that? Or do we just not exist? We all pay county taxes. We're going to be paying all those sales taxes. That is an absolute joke, in my opinion. I just want that on the record. It's the same like everything else. We don't do recreation. Oh, but wait a minute. We got a park over here. We just built a new playground at the Anderson County Regional Airport. And we got another one over there. We don't want to give Pendleton any money to help serve people with the one we have. That's another joke, in my opinion. That's all I got to say about it.
Steve, I know
Thank you.
sometimes with consent orders comes money. Any money coming with this consent order?
We hope so. That is what elevates you on grants, is having a consent order, because it means that you are, that's generally when the state actually starts sending you money. They have given us a lot more money. We do think that with talking to Central and them wanting to join in with us and Anderson, that the state may actually give us some money to do that, because they're trying to regionalize all these utilities in order for management purposes. And that would help us. So that is do that. Now, I do want to say one thing about that is a capital sales tax. And if you don't know the difference from what failed in November, November was a road sales tax on. This means they can build any capital project with that 1 cent sales tax. They're just dedicating it to the road because the county has to take the sales tax out for the cities. So.
Well, thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And
All right. Can I ask some more questions? The
Go ahead.
Westinghouse extension do you give us any idea when they might can show up and move some poles?
We have been meeting with them once a month, trying to move them along, because the project looks fantastic. If we could get the one pole away.
And our crosswalks in.
And the crosswalks in, at least the landings are in. But they have not given us an indication that we have met with a large project group. We're hoping it will be this summer, but we are at a % complete that I think everybody else is comfortable. And that was the main thing we were trying to hit too. So if we can get Weaver Way open, we just want Weaver Way open just to make it easier on everybody else moving around. So.
Okay.
any more questions on that? No? Okay, so next we have our strategic plan update from our plan coordinator, Lynn Merchant.
Well, it's going to be a very brief report. did not have power today. And then my iPad didn't want to cooperate. So it's just been one of those days. I can tell you that all 3 of the strategic teams have met and are trying to finish up their fourth quarter projects so that they can then move to their new projects for the first quarter of their second year of plans. So hopefully I'll have a better report for you next time.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it. All right, so we'll move on to a discussion item here. We have one. It's consideration of discussion and direction regarding election filing method and town's role in the process. Just to bring everybody up to date, at previous meeting, town council requested staff to explore the pros and cons of changing the town of Pendleton's election filing method. Staff reached out to other municipalities for feedback, but did not receive any responses regarding their experiences with different filing methods. Legal guidance noted that town staff should refrain from producing a how to run for office video or similar materials, as this could raise legal and ethical concerns related to the use of public resources and the perception of influencing an election. Instead, it is recommended that interested individuals be directed to the South Carolina Election Commission website for official candidate information. Staff also contacted the Director of Anderson County Voter Registration and Elections, who shared that the county has previously hosted a candidate academy to help educate potential candidates. The Municipal Association of South Carolina defers to municipal attorneys for legal interpretation regarding election processes. MASC provided limited guidance. The selection of the election filing method is a decision solely at the discretion of town council. Staff can continue to answer general questions from interested individuals, but should not offer legal advice or candidate instruction other than the information produced that state law requires.
So is this also covering whether or not we get signatures? Or is that separate than this?
Well, yeah, it's just, yeah.
It's part of all the research that we were asked to do.
No, but is that part of what we need to decide tonight? If
Yes.
we're going to retain?
Yeah, we're having
Doing
a
the signature.
discussion. This is a discussion item, but
Okay.
not an action item.
Okay.
Yes, if y'all want to keep the method you're with now, we'll move forward with the public notice. If y'all want to change the method we do now, we'll have to bring and schedule ordinances for 2 readings.
Right, and staff, it's got the staff recommendation, which you have seen, but that they recommend that town council discuss and decide whether to retain the current election filing method or pursue a change.
Did we get a number for an estimate yet on what our population is and how many signatures we'd actually have to get?
We do not have that yet.
But, you know, one of the things that I feel, you know, everybody always talks about what makes Pendleton unique, and we want to retain that uniqueness. And at a previous council meeting, it was said that we are either one or two or the only one that still does the door to door. And I think we need to keep the door to door, because I'm going to tell you something. That's a way for people to really know the community. You know, I may represent Ward 2 as far as that's my area, but I also represent every other ward. And that's the way we all do. So getting signatures puts you in neighborhoods that you traditionally may not go into. And I think that's to me, that's one of the things that makes it special when we're doing elections. You know, every year, you know, if I never see Frank, except for when I was going to buy an appliance, you know, every time he was running for mayor, you know, I get to knock on the door. And it means a lot that he didn't have to come to my door, but he did. And I knew that was something he did in other areas. And you really get to know the community of Pendleton as a whole. And like I say, this is something that makes us unique. And it's funny how when it's other stuff, everybody's like, let's do it. But when you got to put that elbow grease and leg grease into it, you know, people may want to change. I tell you, the best thing about running for an office for the town of Pendleton is getting out there and going door to door and knocking on doors and basically really meeting your public.
You know, I think I agree with you 100%. Barbara were the two that ran in the last election. And, but I also think we need to look at ways to make sure that if there's people that are differently able that can't do all the walking that's necessary, people that might be working jobs that are make it very difficult for them to get around. We have to look for ways, and obviously it's stated that the town cannot assist in that way, any way, shape, or form, but maybe legal women voters or something to help get like what we did on our own, we had our candidate forum and on the Village Green, just look for ways to help candidates to get their names out there and help assist them with that, because it's, as we all know, I don't even remember how many it was last.
Yeah.
How many signatures do we have to get in 2 weeks?
It's tough.
It was
250.
100,
I've done
yeah.
a bunch of times.
175?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But you know, you can also get people to help you do it. I
Yeah,
mean, your
right.
friends
Yeah.
can do it, your family,
Right.
you know.
But also, I mean,
It can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done, we've all done it. But I agree with Jeff in that I think we need to possibly create ways where other people can gather and make it easier for everybody to get those signatures. Because if you do shift work or then that's your second shift work, then you aren't really eligible. It does close.
No, you can't do it, and-
Well, I'm
and
not saying you can't. I'm
No,
just
but what I'm
that-
saying is making it easier. I mean, that was one of the reason we came up with the thing on the green. But, there was also Facebook pages that people did, things along this line. And like you said, you can get other people to do it. I understand what you're saying. But I don't know, can we lengthen the amount of time? That's where it
No,
is.
but what I'm saying is, could we have a day at the depot where all the candidates could be there and
A forum.
people could come in and sign the
You
form?
could find a way to have somebody organize that for you
Mhm.
outside of us.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's what I said. That's what we did with the thing on the green.
Well, move that we continue with the current
I think it's
system
just
of
a
elections.
discussion we'll need to, or do we need to say that we're going to stay with the meeting?
And we need to know if y'all want us to issue the public notice as is, or if we need to start prepping and amending the ordinance.
So it is a decision,
So-
not just a
So the
discussion.
motion would be to proceed with the public notice.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Would that be right?
The petition.
Okay, so you're making that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carries 3-2. All right, next we have public hearing on the budget, fiscal year 25-26. In this case, you can be a resident, a business owner, a property owner, or utility customer. Any one of those to speak in the public hearing if you want to speak about the budget. And I believe you were gonna,
I promise it'll be a short paragraph.
you're gonna give us a synopsis of the budget so that anybody wants to speak of it, they'll have some idea
Yeah.
of what we're dealing with. Okay.
Amber, you have. I do not have, I don't have a clicker, just go to next. Just to kind of remind everybody, so we've been doing strategic planning, and we have developed essentially our focus question. And I think for everybody in the room, it's good to have it. It's as a dedicated town of Pendleton leadership and stakeholders, how we define, maintain, and expand exemplary core services that respond to community needs, demonstrate high standards of fiscal responsibility, manage the ramifications of robust growth, and increase community engagement while preserving the essence of our community and unique character. If you can go to the next one. So we've gone through the strategic plan. We've identified both the current levels of core services and what we call the underlying contradictions to achieving those. The solutions and capital projects to strengthen our service level in our 2027 vision. And that hopefully leads to your line item budget. If you can go to the next one. These are just some comments. This happens to be comments from council on the general fund, and some of their thoughts. And they're all good thoughts. Rarely do we ever come up with bad ideas, but it's just a lot of money to undertake a lot of different items. If you can go to the next one. A lot of questions about revenue flow and new housing development. So we've been talking.
This tiny font is going to answer all your questions.
Answer all your questions.
That's pretty easy.
The synopsis of it is.
It all goes in a line.
Yeah.
That's what you need to know. One thing after the next.
So people ask, when you approve something, how long does it take? Well, if we approve something July 1st, it would probably take us to 2029 to actually see all the revenues out of it.
July 1st of 2025.
If we approve something July 1st of 2025. So when you see some, and it in reality, a lot of times with these developments, it takes way longer. you're seeing smaller increases for much longer, especially in the period we're in right now. But that was just kind of a trend, talking about the different revenues you get out of it, because some of it you see through permitting and one-time fees, and you actually don't see property taxes until we get what they call a CO, certificate of occupancy. And so the builders actually pay you very little property tax until they sell the house. But you get a lot of what we call itinerant business license tax, which is their subcontractors as they pull business licenses. So your revenue kind of goes up, and it really changes through the whole thing until you get to the property tax phase and it levels out. If we go to the next slide. For those that don't know, our tax district is District 44. It's essentially that circle. We're surrounded by some other ones. The town of Pendleton actually has 2 tax districts. So you'll hear us talk about Tax District 44 and Tax District 420. Tax District 420 is our TIF district. It's what we have gotten partnerships out to do certain things. We need to build some new buildings, particularly fire station, police department, new public works facility. And we have partnered with the county and the school district in order to build some of those in that district. We own most of that district through tax foreclosures. And so we're going to look to change that over, and what we call the increment as we start selling it will be what we use to build a new building. So it doesn't affect the rest of our residents in tax district 44. You go to the next one. Just, you know, everybody hears it all on the news, just upcoming challenges in our budget. Be our debt percentage. You probably hear a lot of that with Clemson University right now. Tariffs, all the, you know, the waste treatment plant, we're getting hit with tariff increases on it. We've already planned for some of that, but we're getting hit with it. Loss of earmarks, for people that don't know, the state earmarks are what the state gives you directly to a city. It's direct payments to cities and counties. This state this year has decided to do no more earmarks. And that's been a huge, there's some cities around us that are really getting hurt by that right now. Future grants, there was a time where we had a lot of money tied up in grants just recently, where they said they were getting ready to take them all. We got those back. We don't know what's going to happen to the money moving forward. We are slowing growth. I know it's hard to believe, but the town is actually slowing up with the building permits and everything. Not being fully staffed, whoops. We do a good job of maintaining our free cash flow for capital projects, although it will start changing in a few years. We have continued pressure to expand our core services, and we're drawing down our fund balance, which is impacting our investment revenue. So if you want to go to the next one, Amber. And just some things on fund balance. Fund balance is essentially our savings account. Right now, we invest our fund balance. We are changing our investments up because we have projects that we're using. So we're taking some of that money we've had invested, we're actually moving it into projects. A lot of that's with our waste treatment plant. A lot of that's what you hear is called our Municipal Facilities Corporation. We're actively spending that money, so it's not there for investment anymore. You go to the next slide. Our debt ratio, right now we're at 16.85% on our debt ratio for general fund. You want to stay between 15 and 20. 15% is $797,000 and 20% is $1,063,000. If you ever want to know how little the town can actually borrow, there you go. We can borrow $1,063,000 and not be in worry about our debt ratio. I often tell people that there's probably more people in this room. We can probably all get together and borrow more than the town can borrow in general. And that's hard for people to believe. But we're limited by that, and we're limited by what they call the 8% rule. And our 8% without going to a bond referendum is about $1.4 million right now. Hospitality tax, we don't have any bonds right now. That may change moving forward, but also 15% would be a $71,000 a year bond payment or $96,000 a year bond payment. If we go to the next slide, general fund. We have a lot of money moving out in general fund because of some projects right now. It looks like you got a general fund that's got a lot of money going in, but when you back out your capital financing, which is bonds, and you back out your transfers between things as you transfer this money in and out, we're growing year over year when it's leveled out across a lot of years at about 2.8%, which is a healthy growth rate. But it might surprise a lot of people. So in this year's general fund, we have a lot of different things. We have $15,000 strategic direction team. We're buying a lot of vehicles, a truck for code enforcement, a truck for our street department, a $400,000 sanitation truck, a $300,000 leaf vac truck. What is it? Probably $225,000 in police vehicles. We paid $91,000 to the city of Clemson for cat bus service. And we're getting hit with cybersecurity right now between our water and sewer fund and our general fund. That's about $34,000. And our attorney's retainer between the two funds, we're only adding 2 employees and 1 public work technician in general fund. Some of the major transfers, $391,000 municipal facilities for their bond payment, $215,000 to help reduce the parking downtown, and $184,000 for community engagement. And we're having a lot of increases in insurance. Data processing, building personnel is going up 5%, tort liability is 10%, and auto liability is 30%. I think everybody felt the auto liability this year. Can we go to the next slide? Sanitation. We are proposing, one of the things with the strategic plan was muddled funding, so we've done a lot of work in this year's budget to break out things and show them in their own department, so people can see how the funding flows through it. Used to be sanitation. We actually use our street department to help with sanitation, and that's no longer the case. We need a lot of people in sanitation just to run roll carts, recycling, bulk. Bulk containers or dumpsters essentially for businesses, brush and leaves. We are proposing to go to an automatic tipping garbage truck, which is, you got an arm on the side that tips it, so that we can eliminate the guys off the back of the trash truck. And they're asking for it because the work is extremely hard for those guys. And we'll be making some changes. We'll probably be looking at changing recycling and what we can recycle and how we do recycle. Because recycling is just getting so expensive to run, and most of the recycling truck goes to landfill at the end of the day because it gets contaminated. If we go to the next slide, street department, we have been running most of our street department sanitation. We're looking to reestablish our street department. It's more than just a street department. It deals a lot with the roads that you drive on, making sure they're maintained. They're not paving, but they're patching potholes, but they're doing a lot of things, installing signage. What you hear is called ditching, which is the drainage along the side of the road. The stormwater drains, the culverts, everything else. Those are important to maintain because you start getting complaints about them overrunning and water running in people's yards during storms and everything. We are big on pedestrian infrastructure and maintaining that. We just cleaned a lot of the sidewalks. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's like 3.4 miles of sidewalks that we cleaned last month. And work orders, general work orders, along with that. And we have to cut, we're supposed to be the ones that maintain the Highway 76 medians all on North Mechanic Street. State comes through about twice a year and does a major cut. Litter pickup, road repairs. We still have, probably to get this department where it needs to be, we still have several $100,000 we have to put in it. And we will probably be what we call an MS4 phase 2 by 2032 or 2033, which means we will have the additional stormwater requirements that we will have to maintain at that point. You can go to the next slide. Water and sewer, y'all heard about the sewer plant expansion. We did a rate study. It's a $64 million expansion. We had projected in our rate study 18.29% in revenue. We were 18.8. We were at 12.83 in expenses. All that deals with the water and sewer plant expansion, which is pretty good. We are using some of our bonding. We're capitalizing the interest to pay half the debt service right now. It's a very good time for us to do that. So it takes some load off of our customers, and we build that rate in at a much slower pace. Again, we got hit with cybersecurity on that end, especially with the new website. We had 62.5 budgeted for a grant match to go for rate increases. We've asked the state for $250,000 through RIA, which is an agency. We think we're a strong candidate. We'll do some planning and some capital project planning to better prepare our system. At the time we did this, it was 146. That number is actually down to about 120. We have to buy some new equipment such as skid steers, mini excavators, backhoes for the next couple of years. A lot of our equipment is 10, 12 years old. Our backhoe, I think, is approaching 25 years in age. And that was our main piece of equipment we worked during the hurricane. That's how we got people unblocked. That's how we moved everything. We have, with the rate increases, we have planned some additional employees in that department because we only have 3. So we're adding an administrative assistant and a tech 5 into that department. That brings us to a whopping 32 full-time personnel down in Pendleton. 34, I believe, between 32 and 34 to do everything that we do. And 2032, the reason why that's important is that's when we have a buyout option on our bonds we took out for the waste treatment plant, and our Anderson Joint Regional bonds are paid off. That plant, I tell people all the time, my dad welded the manifold intake of that plant, and it finally broke in about 2016. I was just surprised as he was. It made it 40 years, but that plant will essentially be our waste treatment plant. We'll take it to the ground and rebuild it. And it'll be between a 30 and a 40 million gallon plant. We service right now about 250,000 customers out of it. And that's a regionalized plant. You can go to the next one. Water and sewer. This was presented to council to kind of talk about the personnel and the rate study. And we tried to break it down by a week so they'd understand what we need to do for a week. But on average, we have 100 hours of personnel hours deficit to be able to do everything that we should be doing to maintain the system like it should be. That's our water and our sewer system. When you have a larger system, you create economies of scale. It takes just about as many people for us to maintain it as it takes other cities. And we have 2,000 customers, and our neighbors have one has about 4,000, one has about 9,000. Will have about the same amount of employees. So it's all about economies of scale. If you go to the next one, capital, we have planning capital. 20% of our operating budget in water and sewer needs to be capital. It's $533,000. Remind everyone that our average project cost right now, if we go do one project, it's about $800,000. That's whether it's in general fund, which is your police, fire, building grounds, streets, sanitation, or water and sewer. And then you have to look for grants to supplement some of that. But we actually probably need closer to about $1 million in each fund to do a 5-year capital plan and stay up to date on it. We are also changing what they call LMI, so we're actually losing grant ability on some grants and the ability to take out some grants and some areas. To go to the next slide. Hospitality tax, again, just some comments from council on hospitality. We can go to the next slide, Amber. Hospitality taxes, we have 44,000 PRA, 50,000 in maintenance for Veterans Park. That includes the landscaping contract. 50,000 for branded information sharing, 40,000 for volunteer fire department. You transfer 32,000 from general fund, but that's really just to meet your obligations of state law because it's coming right back into this department of community engagement. We allocated 298,000. It's essentially 100-something thousand each for the Bruce parking lot, and Exchange Street water and sewer out of this fund, and that leaves you with about 316,000 in your fund balance at the end of the day. You can go to the next one. Community engagement. That's just what that department As far as the events and expenses that are included in the budget, you can kind of see. You can go on to the next one. The IPRB, which is Installment Purchase Revenue Bond, it's our municipal facilities bond. We have in this project $420,000 to go into Veterans Park and $250,000 Town Hall. One of the benefits of that type of bonding is we have to put up collateral, and those are the two places we put up collateral, and the bank makes us spend money on those two places, even though we're doing a project completely somewhere else on the other side of town. And so what you'll see is probably with the 420, you're going to see the lighting finished at Veterans Park for ball fields, the fencing and repairs to Barrett's Place Playground. And at Town Hall, it will most likely be a roof replacement, painting inside, and flooring repairs. If you can go to the next one, Amber. This was for council for the future. At the top is if we hit a 2% inflation number, and I think we're not running at 2%, we're running above 3% right now. But the federal government said over and over, they want to get to 2%. That's an additional $120,000 every year we have to generate in general fund, or $76,000 in water and sewer just to meet inflation. And
How
then,
about that 2.8% growth rate?
yeah, well, that 2.8% growth rate is actually what addresses that. Your general fund, just some items we know are coming on next year. The camera system from CDBG, your $250,000 match on the CDBG grant, and a compensation plan, building out your street department and water and sewer kind of stabilized and run the rate study. If you can go to the next slide, Amber. There's about $114,000 left. We've been working with council. We finally got to meet Council Vince today. He was out of town. And just to kind of say, you need about $1 million or 20% of the fund for capital. We returned about 330 from 2026 budget, which is what we're talking about, the 2027, to start closing that gap. And then we need 533 is what our rate study calls for water and sewer. We'll return about 464. Again, we're closing that gap, getting that 533 for capital. And hospitality, we need 95,000. We have about 170,000 right now, and we kind of keep that moving back and forth between projects. I think that was it. This is just some things on talking to council and some other people to keep our core services and our strategic plan moving. More economic development, build and strengthen partnerships, set departmental goals that align with council's resources, continue investment in infrastructure, marketing and branding in town, and continue development of small area plans. And I think that was it. That was it. It's amazing.
If you're still interested in running for office after a presentation like that.
That was a shortened version. That one was 3 hours.
If you can listen to Steve this long, you can do anything.
Yeah, we all need to have our head examined. But yeah, moving on to the public hearing. So having said all this stuff, is there anyone here that would like to come forward and make a comment in the public hearing? And we know who you are, but don't forget to say it. Okay.
Nancy Von Meyer, 404 Westminster Drive. This is great information presented here, but what's lacking is you did not put it in the packet. So in the space of transparency, it's really hard for me to go through the budget and try and compare last year's to this year without this background information. This is great background information, but I think it's impossible to make a good public comment, this is a comment period. And the budget is very important to what we're doing. And it's hard for us as a citizen, you all have the insider line, but it's hard for us as citizens to understand without this secret J squirrel PowerPoint you have that has all the initialization that you use continuously. I mean, I don't know how many people, everybody knows what a CBD is? Everybody know what that is? Everybody's on board with the community block grant program? People don't know what that is, right? And so it's hard for them to comment. And in line with that, the other thing I would like to see us strive for is Robbie and David have their notes in our agenda packet every month. Steve, yours doesn't. And I understand you're super busy and you can't get to it, but it should be in the minutes because it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. I looked. And maybe the minutes haven't all been published.
Minutes, they're always in it. Yes, ma'am.
I looked, I didn't see it. So if those minutes have not been published yet, but I think that it's important that if these guys have their minute reports in, I think it'd be good for us to be able to follow along, to have your notes the same as these guys do. I think that would be really helpful. So my concern about the budget was looking at the work that Jay and James are doing. They're doing a great job with the utility department. I couldn't compare last year's to this year because you did a lot of restructuring. And what I was really curious about is if we're going to continue curbside recycling, or if we're just going to go to the bin, are we going to just have people go to Queen Street and drop it off? Because I think that's probably a big savings for us as a town to not have curbside recycling. But I can go through it now that you've given us the keys to the kingdom. And this presentation is going to be in the notes. Is this going to be available for us to see? This PowerPoint you just presented?
On the website.
Yeah.
So then maybe we can give better comments.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to some action items. First, we have consideration of first reading of an ordinance to set the town of Pendleton's budget fiscal year 2025-2026, including the town's fee schedule and other stuff related. Council will consider the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, which is a well-balanced plan aligned with priorities identified in the town's strategic plan. While the budget is largely complete, a meeting with one council member is still needed before finalizing the allocation of remaining funds. Additional funding is also anticipated following the April 16th meeting. The town is currently managing a number of large capital projects and several new funding sources not previously included in past budgets. Staff will continue working on a budget message and a question and answer sheet for strategic team 3 to clearly communicate what is included in the budget and what items remain to be addressed going forward. This is the first reading, and there will be another one, of course, just to point that out. So this is not necessarily the final end all. So having said that, what's council's pleasure? Or are there questions or comments or anything we want to talk about?
This is the first reading.
Yes, that's correct.
So apparently we already done that, so I guess we need to go ahead and approve it.
Okay, are you making a motion? To approve?
Yeah, I make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I get a question still.
Okay.
And this is my second year around in this, so I'm not, so what you have is not set in stone. There's a couple items on here I know that some people have some concerns about.
No, it's not.
And we're able to, in what format would those be discussed in the future before we have a second vote on this?
Well, I just met with Vince today. And so I've got to get his and I've got everybody else's requests and get them in there and see where that lands with the leftover money. And then we can get that out to council.
And these resolutions?
Those resolutions are all fully funded in there right now, based on what council has indicated. If there's anything in particular, we can have another work session with council and talk about it and see where that lands. And that's what.
Yeah, that might be good.
Yeah.
I'd be open to another work session.
I would too.
Yeah.
Can we do that before the second reading?
Oh, yeah.
But my point is, this was the first reading.
This is the first reading.
This first reading.
And so shouldn't we just approve it because we've already done?
You've had your meetings in February and your meeting in April.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
You can have your first reading. I mean, you don't have to have your second reading.
So this ain't the first reading.
This first reading.
This is first reading. You got to read it twice.
You got to read it twice.
Oh, well, that's what I know.
You can
So
change
we're
it.
approving the first reading,
Yeah, and you can change it.
and then we can do whatever in between time, and then the
Is there
second
gonna be
reading.
public comment before the second reading? Or there's only one public comment?
Well, the public can make comment anytime. There's only one public hearing.
Hearing.
But they could still
That's
speak.
They
in
can still
public
speak in
comments.
public comments.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanna spend some
And
time.
maybe by
at the
then we
power
can get the information about it out there a little more like, we had, not like Nancy's comment.
So if we don't approve this, then we'll have another first reading, and then there'll be public hearing.
No, your public hearing.
Your
portion
public
is
hearing's done, you'll have public comment, so same thing.
And then the
Well, who's
deadline
on
is
first?
June 30th.
June
End of the fiscal. But,
Your second reading for June 30th.
Yeah.
You gotta have your second reading for June 30th.
Right.
all right, so at the moment, we have a motion. Is there a second? For the first reading.
So I think we're wanting a work session first
Before you do the first reading. Now, that's going to change your timeline a lot.
But is this not the first reading? That's my point.
It is the first reading.
If this is the first reading,
Would it help, Barbara?
Yes,
if
it
you
would.
changed your motion to, I would like to pass this for first reading, but have a call meeting prior to the June 3rd, second and final reading?
thank you, what she said.
Yeah, so we'll have it for the first reading, we'll have a call meeting, and then we'll go to the second reading, and you can make changes there even. You can say whatever. But it's up to y'all, or if we don't, then we don't pass it for the first reading. And then we'll have to take it up again, and that'll throw us.
We'll have to have a call meeting.
Well, you'd have it at your June 3rd for your first meeting. and
Which
you
we can
just
do
have
that.
to have a second
Usually
reading
advertised.
before June 30th.
I mean, we can do that.
Tonight.
You don't want to do anything with it tonight. So,
I mean, if it seems like people are having a hard time with, and prefer the work session first, is that what I'm?
the work session will be
If-
before the second reading.
a work
Before
session
the
before the
first-
second reading, then I'm good with that.
Okay, so is that a second?
Yes.
Okay, with that, okay, yeah, that there will be a call meeting in between. Okay, all right, so we have a motion, we have a second, so I'll go ahead, you got something?
Well, I mean, is that an amendment to the motion that we're approving with the understanding that there'll be a
Call meeting.
call
That
for-
was in Amber's
That's right,
Mhm.
that's correct,
That's part of the
synopsis.
first motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So motion is second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. All right, thank you. All right, now we have consideration, first reading of an ordinance to amend the official budget for town of Pendleton fiscal year 2024, 2025. Council will consider first reading of budget amendment ordinance to address expenses related to the recent hurricane, the sale of the bond and proper allocation of expenditures into the Municipal Facilities Corporation bond. This amendment ensures accurate accounting and may reduce the need to draw from fund balance. It could also create flexibility to allocate additional revenue in the upcoming fiscal year 2025-26 budget before its second and final reading. Having said that, are any questions or motions?
What is this? 8C? 8B.
8B.
8B. It's basically amending the current budget we're in right now to address the
Right, to address,
the
yeah.
expenses related to the hurricane.
Move to pass that ordinance.
All right, so we have a motion, and a second down here. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, now we have consideration, first reading of ordinance amending the water and sewer use ordinance of the town of Pendleton in certain limited regards and particulars only with respect to, number one, matter of resolving disputed water or sewer billings, and two, correcting Scrivener's errors related to the references to the town's water system when reference to the town's sewer service system was intended. Basically, this amendment is necessary to resolve conflicting information between the existing ordinance and best practices. Additionally, this amendment seeks to clarify and streamline administrative processes by granting the town administrator greater authority and flexibility to adjust customers' bills in specific circumstances. These changes will help ensure consistency in communications, improve customer service, and allow for timely resolution of billing issues. Is there anything you want to elaborate on that?
So this comes out of that billing dispute that we talked about earlier. And this allows us to move disputes out of an ordinance into a policy. So
Yeah, so there's a policy now.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
I'll have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Now we have consideration of second and final reading of a capital project ordinance for the town of Pendleton, South Carolina Central
Central Road Pump Station relocation and replacement. This will be the second and final reading of this ordinance. The passage of this ordinance is necessary to carry forward the allocated funding for the project across multiple fiscal years. Council has previously approved the new pump station location. Condemnation proceedings are currently underway and the bid is scheduled to be awarded. So that's about it on that. Y'all pretty familiar with that, I think.
I make a motion that we approve.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, now we have consideration of second and final reading of an ordinance, amending ordinance number 22-04. That's a capital project ordinance for the town of Pendleton Town Center Parking Plan. This will be the second and final reading of this ordinance. Y'all familiar with that one, I think, too. So do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the budget for the town of Pendleton fiscal year 24-25 to recognize additional revenue and appropriate funds for investment purposes. This is second and final reading of this ordinance. The town has received $1.4 million per the intergovernmental agreement with Clemson University. This budget amendment will recognize the revenue and allocate the funds as an expense to be transferred into the town's investment account. This action ensures proper accounting and management of the funds in alignment with the town's financial policies. Do we have a motion?
Motion
You're Jeff.
Okay, so we had a motion from Jeff,
Second.
and we have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, next, we have consideration of a resolution of the town council of the town of Pendleton to allocate $40,000 to the Pendleton Volunteer Fire Department for fiscal year 25-26 for needed equipment.
Is it 44 or 40?
It's 40.
Okay.
Yeah, for needed equipment to be expensed as approved by town council. So we're allocating $40,000 and it's in the 25-26 budget, which is the budget yet to be. Okay. The funds are designated for the purchase of needed equipment and will be expended only upon request by the department and with prior approval by town council as outlined in the resolution.
I would like for us to amend it or add to that, that they sign an agreement letter similar to the one that the PRA will be signing, so that we're treating all nonprofits in the same manner.
Okay. All right. So that's a motion.
That's a motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, next we have consideration of a resolution of the town council, town of Pendleton, South Carolina, to allocate $44,000 to the Pendleton Recreation Association for fiscal year 25-26. As outlined in the resolution agreement, this money will be available to the PRA upon request and with town council approval for each expenditure. The remaining $40,000 will be available, and then the remaining $4,000 will be provided directly to the PRA to support operational expenses in accordance with the terms of the attached agreement. Do we have a motion?
I have a question,
Okay.
which I probably should have asked before the first one. But I mean, by approving this, does this lock this into the budget so that it's not, we can't adjust these numbers in the discussion?
In the work session.
Yeah, I mean, so that if, not implying that we're going to increase or decrease in any way, but by listing this number in here, are we locking that in, that number in?
The resolution is the opinion of council. And so, you know, 44, I mean, it's kind of like the branding. We said 50, you try to stay at that 44. So if you don't want to stay, then technically it's 40, because 44 is what you have always directly, or 4,000 is what you've always directly given into the operations of it. So if you don't want to stay at that 40 or that 4, then you probably don't want to adopt this resolution.
Now, also,
well, maybe
And to answer your question, nothing is done until after second and final reading of the ordinance.
Yeah.
Anything can be changed by y'all up until then, regardless of what a
So
resolution
this could be also
says.
considered in the budget discussion workshop meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Not again, not that I'm
like to
implying,
see
I just
this-
didn't want to lock something in if we haven't
If you're,
If there's some concerns about the other
if
part
you're
of it.
considering changing the amount, you shouldn't adopt the resolution wrong about it.
We shouldn't
Yeah,
adopt
and-
it.
Should not adopt it.
And another
Yeah, first
question.
reading or,
Oh, wait.
So your resolution only requires one reading.
Yeah.
And so you should not adopt them because you're directing staff to do something if you know you're gonna change it. So if I were you, the motion would be on these resolutions to hold until after you've had your call meeting.
Okay, can we go back and
so can we
change
go
it?
back? And again, like, I'm not trying to say imply
Right,
any,
right.
any opposition to the amount or any of those kind of things, but I didn't want to lock in the number.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so my question, let's say, for instance, maybe we should try maybe going after a PARD grant and being involved in that. And how would that affect that? So we could maybe get them some more money that way.
It doesn't affect it at all. So
Okay.
our grants outside of the money you directly control.
Yeah, because I know that's out there. We might have a chance to
So,
get.
what is the difference? Is the fire department a 501(c)(3)?
So the fire department is actually two different things. So part of the fire department is a special purpose government,
Uh-huh.
and it's funded by a tax collected through the Anderson County Tax Office and given to the Anderson County Fire Commission. And part of the fire department is a 501(c)(3). And I know it's confusing because it confuses me and I work with them every day. However, there's equipment in there that is owned by and it is not Anderson County, it is the Anderson County Fire Commission.
Mhm.
And they are their own government.
Right.
And then there is equipment owned in there by the Pendleton Fire Department, which is a 501(c)(3). Typically, the big tanker and pumper trucks are owned by the government side of Anderson County's Fire Commission. And then you see like their rescue trucks, their bottle trucks, their QRVs, their safety gear, everything else is owned by the 501(c)(3).
Yeah, but I just don't look at them, and the reason I'm asking, I don't look at the Pendleton Fire Department in the same way I look at the community center or the PRA. Because the fact that is a service that we have to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like your municipal facilities corporation. That's a 501(c)(3) that's wholly incorporated by the town to act on behalf of the town for a specific purpose.
Right, right.
That's the 501(c)(3) portion of the Pendleton Fire Department. And then you had that other side of it, so.
Well, and the reason I said that was because Lynn said, we should treat them all the same, and really can't treat that one the same as you do the others. And I understand what she was saying, because I agree, we should treat them all the same.
I mean,
But
I think
that one is kind of,
but I mean, the potential for spending on things that should not be spent on and not.
oh, no, I understand where you're coming from, but what I'm saying is, I understand, we got to have accountability. I don't care what you are, get the money, we get the
Well, and that's all I'm asking.
Right,
for,
right,
make sure we have
right.
the same accountability.
Right, yeah, and
Not
I definitely understand
necessarily
that.
treat them the same, but treat the funding the same.
Gotcha.
So how do we rescind? Or
Right.
do we continue?
So in your motion here, I would make the motion of, I would like to request that we postpone the resolutions until after our call meeting. And I would also like us to do the same with item 8G.
Yeah, what she said.
8G, yeah, 8G.
Yeah.
And as long as everybody is in agreement with that, you can do that. Now, if they want to keep their motion on the table as is, then it stays.
Even though we've already voted for AG, we can say we would like to.
It's a resolution, not a.
Not
It's not a law.
Mhm.
So.
Anybody have a problem with it? I know. Nobody?
I
Okay.
second what Lynn
All right,
said.
so that motion.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it. Do we have a second to that motion?
We will.
Barbara already said.
Did you second? Okay.
I did.
So all in favor of that, raise your hand. Okay, motion carries. Okay. All right, so moving on. All right, so next we have consideration of a resolution authorizing the amendment of the personnel policy manual for the town of Pendleton to include the addition of a cell phone policy. As the town continues to implement technology-based tools to improve operations and accountability, including mobile applications for time tracking, work orders, communication, and GPS, it has become necessary to establish a formal policy regarding the use of mobile devices for work purposes. The proposed cell phone policy outlines expectations for employees using town-issued and personal devices, ensures consistency in application use across departments, addresses data security and compliance, and provides guidance on eligibility for stipends when individual devices are used for town business. So having said all that, are there any questions or is there a motion?
Now, is that boilerplate? I mean, is that what you're doing? Is this something from the municipal association or where did you?
Actually, Amy and Amber wrote it, so, I would have to ask them. I don't know if y'all reach out.
No, we just wrote it based on what our needs were. We wrote it more specific at first with our actual apps, and after we discussed it, we decided, talking to Steve, we need to be a little more generic, so that's why we made it a little generic versus addressing certain apps that we're using right now.
Yeah, I think we need to. I mean, because otherwise we're gonna be on the 6 o'clock news with a signal account or some crap like that. So I can see this as more than just a policy for policy's sake, but we've got to do something for security as well. So.
Do we know the budget impact of if everybody
Yes,
takes the stipend?
You are probably looking at less than 1,500 a year. We have a lot, we have a few right now, a few employees right now that need to use the app and put the app in order to have something that says we have to have the app. We need to be able to say you have to have that.
So how are these type of policy changes rolled out to the staff?
So typically with these, Amy will actually be the one that takes these out and meets with the employees, and she'll go over it with them, and they'll actually sign that they got it and they understood it, and she'll meet with each department on that.
And it says this is not a contract.
That's correct. That is correct.
Now, are these on their personal cell phones or these are town
So
cell
some
phones?
employees have town-owned cell phones, some employees have personal cell phones. They do not want a town-owned cell phone.
But they're required to put stuff on their personal
That's
phone?
correct. Yes, ma'am.
That's why they
Really?
get a stipend.
Yes.
Okay, so they do get a stipend.
And this is
That's
common,
fine.
yes.
Oh, no, that's what I was
Okay.
asking. Okay,
Yes,
got
yes.
I make a motion to approve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got a
Second.
motion. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, now we have consideration of a resolution of Pendleton Town Council to authorize individual council member allocations to nonprofit organizations serving the town of Pendleton. Just to bring everybody up and audience, y'all already know about this, I think, but town council will consider approving a resolution allocating funds to various nonprofit organizations for fiscal year 25-26. These allocations are intended to support the work of local organizations that provide valuable services and programs benefiting the Pendleton community. The proposed funding amounts have been reviewed as part of the budget process. Approval of this resolution will authorize the disbursement of funds to selected nonprofits as outlined. Now, do we want to hold this one too?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So we need to make another motion on that, or we
I'm gonna
good?
make one big motion at the beginning and explain what we did at the first one. And what we did after that,
Okay.
just so that's-
All right, because that falls in the same category.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, now we have consideration of a resolution by the Pendleton Town Council to establish a process for reviewing and approving a major change to a plan development, acronyms PUD, zone property. On February 28th, 2025, Center Park Group and CPG Development LLC submitted an application to Town of Pendleton requesting a major change to the zoning of two properties within the town limits, excuse me, known as Villages of Town Creek. The Villages at Town Creek encompasses approximately 79.72 acres and was annexed to the town of Pendleton back in 2005 and zoned as a planned unit development. Because this request from the developer changes or alters the concept and general characteristics of the original PUD, it qualifies as a major change. Major changes to existing plan development exceed the authority of staff level approval and require higher action at a higher level. Under the town's current zoning ordinance, a major change to a PUD must receive approval from Pendleton Town Council. before the Planning Commission can review it. While researching this process and after reviewing the South Carolina Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act 1994, it was noted that South Carolina state law requires a planning commission to first review and provide a recommendation on any proposed major change to PUD before the matter is brought to town council. The resolution being presented tonight is to acknowledge that our current town ordinances and state law conflict with each other and to establish the process for a request and approval of a major change of any property zoned as planned unit development. So the recommended action, of course, of this is to approve the resolution establishing the process.
All right, I've asked some questions that response I got was that needed to go through before an attorney before we could get that answer. So can I make a motion that we have a work session with an
Add to the
attorney
list. Yeah.
before we approve this?
Okay, we got a motion on that. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion second. All vote, please. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, now, I believe next we're going to go out of open session into executive session to discuss appointment to Pendleton Municipal Facilities Corporation. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Now, second.
Second.
All right, have a motion second. All in favor? All right, motion carries. Anybody else?
That's
here?
it. Okay.
All right, so now we need a motion to appoint Mike Sleeth to that.
I make the motion to appoint Mike C. to the board for whatever that board was. Municipal.
Okay, we have a second down here from Jeff. So all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
So who's telling us?
Unanimous. Now, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor? We adjourn. We appreciate y'all coming back out to see us. Thank you.
Jeff, you just
Just
let
one
us know if
person.
you're gonna reach out to them or if you want us to.